think that there's some camaraderie in this industry. I certainly have it with hundreds of people, and that is the survival of the last decade of this business. And because I was a leader, which was scary during that time, and people were looking to me to help them survive, I kind of equated to like holding onto the helm of a ship through a bad storm. You know, your job is to keep people in the boat, keep them alive, keep them warm, keep them safe. And I have to tell you, I've white-knuckled that leadership helm at times, wondering if I could bring those people through. At times weak myself and maybe questioning where we were headed, but just knowing that my role as a leader was to bring them through those paces. And I did it. I successfully brought them through those paces. I think what makes me a relatable leader is that I've been doing this through all markets too. I think sometimes to really get respect, you have to have survived during the tough times, the tough markets, and there have been plenty of those tough markets. I closed a company after 13 years, went around the country and shut places down, but I've survived those markets, never taken a break from those markets, and learned how to be that leader that was there when my people needed them most. Because, you can fan the flames of success, but when someone needs you at 10 o'clock at night and they're struggling and they've been successful in their past and that call comes in, that is when your leadership is truly called upon. Over time, I evolved into a senior leader and was attracted to the leadership role, but I was competing at that level on a whole different level, I discovered. At that level, you're really driving the bus from the back seat. This is the level where you're trying to move hundreds of people in a certain direction. I'm a person who cares. I care so deeply that I would actually call it a weakness, because I'm one of those people that I would sit at night and worry about the person I passed in the hallway that looked down or was struggling, and I didn't have time because I was running to a meeting, and I would find myself getting out of bed and circling back to that person and making a phone call. If you become a real coach and this is what you decide to do, you become invested in people's professional and personal stories, and you know where they're trying to execute too. You know what their goals are personally in their lives and how they're professionally trying to win, and you become connected to them. So about 12 years ago, when I started with Annie Mac, I spent a summer sitting up at Lake Winnipesaukee, New Hampshire, having come off my job for the last 12 years with H&R Block Mortgage. And I wrote a book that sat for a decade, and I just blew the dust off and published this past year in 2018. I also built 2020 then. A lot of people don't realize that I already knew I wanted to be a coach back then. I built the website. The website's been live for the last 12 years, but I just started working the business plan to launch 2020 in the last 2 years, and now it's live. So I don't think it'll come as a secret to anybody that I'm a prolific writer. Anyone that follows me knows I put a ton of content out on social media, which, surprise, is what you're supposed to do, come to find out. I think innately I was doing that anyways, just because of the level that I want to write. And I've been writing since a child. I've been published. But my book, Wise Eyes, is a sales book, and I've read hundreds of sales books in my career, but I knew that I needed to tell my story for me, number one, and I needed to tell a story for women, number two, but men read my book too, and it's a great come from behind story, including all of my favorite sales tips and techniques. I got a new book coming out. I know, who could believe that I have even an ounce left of time to write. The truth is, I've been writing as I've been flying, so I fly everywhere, and when I'm up there, I'm disconnected a lot of times, so I write. It's quiet, I can't get phone calls or texts. I wrote my last 2 books flying around in the air, and now I'm writing another book with a childhood friend. We're hoping to give back. She is an incredible nurse practitioner, and one of the most renowned in the United States, and we both grew up on this poor road in New Hampshire where we're super tight and connected by our stories and our climb to success, and that book's called Breaking the Cycle, and we hope to give back to young adults that are looking for a hopeful message in their start in life and how that doesn't define them, and the climb that they can have to success. But something exciting happens when you become an author, and that is that you see how other people react to your words. And I can't tell you how one of the greatest things that warms me is getting a note. I just got a note last night, a text on Facebook from a person that I'm not connected to, and they said that they had been gifted the book from a friend, and that they were reading it and they were truly inspired. I've had people take pictures of Clear Boundaries, my safety book with Jessica Peterson, on trains. This was left on a train because we always sign it, pay it forward. And so people leave them in strange places with notes that say, I hope this book inspires you. So that has been an incredible inspiration for me. So now I'm a different person. After all these years and all this experience, I'm no longer afraid of failing. I definitely feel like I've figured out the recipe for success. But I know that it's going to take a lot of hard work, and I know launching 2020 Vision for Success Coaching will take the same tenacity that I've always had. I'm back in another male-dominated field. I'm going to have to work to win people over. I'm going to have to sell. I'm going to have to do all the things that I teach in my coaching, and I'm excited to be doing this for myself. I've helped build 2 national companies, and I'm really proud of the work that I've done, profitable companies, and I've run a lot of sales teams to great success. So now it's my turn. It's my turn to do this for 2020 Vision. So one of the biggest differences for me is how visible my life is now. I write for several magazines, so everybody knows what I'm thinking. My words are out there in my books. I'm certainly doing a lot of interviewing, and especially like anything, like a new movie coming out, you've got to do all this publicity, and the same is true about a new company. You've got to be out there, and you've got to be telling your story like I am right now. But there were many decades. People say, where the hell did you come from? And I laugh because I was just doing the work. I was doing the work, and while hundreds of people, thousands of people knew me in the trenches of doing the work, I was saying no to the interviews. I didn't want the spotlight. So my world is very, very different now than it used to be. So there's many facets of my coaching company, and you've heard me say the word Lightspeed VT before. That's our software, and it could not be more state-of-the-art. Behind me here is a studio that I have for green screen, and behind this camera is Jenna Baggs, my national sales manager, and she and I spend a ton of time in the studio shooting for Lightspeed VT, but essentially students come into the virtual training center, and then there are courses, business fundamental courses and sales skills courses, and they're given a month-by-month syllabus that takes them down a full year that really is like an MBA in sales training. Listen, mortgage loan officers do not have a degree in mortgage loan officering, and that's true for realtors too. They have licensures that help them get their licenses in both fields, but they don't have the sales acceleration school. I built it. I have it now, and I can train these people to accelerate their sales once they have their licenses. So the real forte, in addition to that training, is that you get me and my coaching staff. So we have a finite number of spots and consulting opportunities for companies that hire us. But we're going to come into those institutions, physically go into them, look at the business plans of their senior management and their executive team, do financial forensics, look under the hood, see how they're operating, where they're bleeding, maybe where they're profitable, what's working, what's not working, rebuild those business plans because that is what we specialize in, and then execute on every piece past that. And I've said this before, but I will say it with the utmost confidence. The way that I have won, outlasted, outplayed, outwitted my competition is that I execute on every step of a plan, and I will help your company execute on those plans as well. We also have independent coaching for loan officers and realtors, and managers for that matter. So independent coaching, consulting, and then obviously the virtual training, and it all gets bundled together, and it really is a la carte. So depending on the assessment we do with you individually and your needs, we'll plug in the pieces that need to be done. But we save you money on permanent overhead. You don't need to hire another senior manager. You don't need to hire a national trainer. You don't need to spend hundreds of thousands of dollars to do this. For marginal costs, you can have us on the length that you desire for the time that you need until you get results, and we know where to take you and how to get you there.